All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Be More podcast. Thanks so much for listening to us. I'm Brittany.
I'm Maria. Um, yeah, I don't know again. I feel like I start this without any knowledge, any prior knowledge of what the hell we're gonna be talking about. But Brittany
Well,
did
in
text me like
in
what?
all
Go
fairness,
ahead.
both of us have lives that are literally, what I envision as a really good analogy. When you're
Sure.
Maria and my lives right now for different reasons, but you know how when you're driving down a highway and it's like dark at night and like all the bugs hit your windshield? And like even though you're trying to continue to drive forward, it's like super annoying having to clean off your windshield every 10 seconds. And like no matter what you do, there's always like dead bug smear on your windshield, even though you're trying to
That's
go
so
forward.
gross. Sure.
That's what, and like, I don't know if this is, you can totally attest to this if you feel like it's not exactly the same thing, but that's how I feel like my life is right now. I feel like there are so many bugs flying at my windshield and I'm trying to just keep driving forward, but the more I try to clean them off the windshield, the more they just smudge, and then that's life.
That's
That's my life
so
right now.
that's so specific.
You're welcome.
um,
So that's why
sure.
Maria and I are coming on and we're like, what's going on?
I don't know. Well, I
But
mean,
we're
we
still
never
here.
really know.
And that's
Yeah.
okay. Well, let's start here. So a couple of weeks ago, no, this is like honestly probably literally last year now at this point. The both
Mm-hmm.
of us we were talking about music. This is gonna be our month of music, so keep that in mind. We're gonna have some cool music conversations. So I guess this is a good way to start. Um,
Right, right.
March Music Month. Um, but Maria had brought up how much you liked Tay Swift's new albums,
Albums, yes, correct. And you listen to them
and
both?
yeah, and I finally listened to them. I was kind of obsessing over them for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, what we were going to talk about today.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
I don't know. Pick a spot.
Damn, like, all right, folklore. Let me just pull up the track list then. Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah,
We should
because
probably
Brittany
do the same
texted
thing.
me like an hour
Uh,
ago and was like, we should talk about Swift. I was like,
well, because I
okay.
was thinking about it because I've been listening to it. And then all this stuff came up.
Yeah.
And then all, like, we were having guests and stuff. And I was like, oh, I got to push it back. But I have
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
listening to it pretty, like, consistently, both Folklore and Evermore. I do have a preference between the two. Do you?
You do. Hold on, let me I do like I feel like Evermore might be my favorite of the two. I
Really?
feel like it. Yeah. Hold on, let me just pull up the track list because like I listen to them like I kind of like not shuffle them, but I
Mm,
listen to them simultaneously. So like they both
gotcha.
give off a similar vibe,
They do. They do.
you know. But I do like the songs. Where is the track list? I'm on Wikipedia and I'm scrolling for like hours. Hold on.
Oh.
Oh, here it is.
So
Okay.
can we, like,
Yeah, go ahead.
I let's start with this.
Sure.
I was not. I was a Tay Swift fan in the beginning. We're
As
going
we
back
all
for like
probably
a
were.
decade now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, and we've talked about this a little bit before. The reasons why I liked her, and actually I was thinking about this too, it relates to a lot of the musicians that I like, even in
Mm-hmm.
different genres. I really like musicians that tell stories in their
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Like there's something to follow, and
Mm-hmm.
like the verses are used for storytelling, and then the choruses kind of like adjust a little bit to like to match the verses.
Yeah.
um I really like that. I think it's very, like, I definitely am a big believer that, like, when it comes to music we listen to, like more mainstream music, I like when people make music into poems in a way, right? Like they tell a
Yeah.
story, they have a purpose.
Yeah.
Um and that was something that I always appreciated about her, like, original music, was that she did
Mm-hmm.
that really well, and she did it with a lot of imagery.
Yes.
Like she uses so much
Correct.
imagery, and I always love that. And then she came out with all of her stuff, and we've talked about this, for like her 1989 album and her
Oh, can I just say 1989 is one of my favorite albums from
really.
her? It might be my favorite album from her besides like these last two.
And then Reputation came out, and then something else came out. What else was there? And
Lover. Lover came out after
then
Reputation.
I'm not okay. So like that whole span of like the last, mid area.
Whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, nope, I don't like this anymore. And I think that I got mad because it wasn't that same like storytelling. It was so much more like selling
Commercialized.
out. Yeah, selling out to that aspect. But the back end of it is like I respected her for making the statement and being like, I can do this and look at how well I can do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like it wasn't that the music was bad, it was just it wasn't her anymore. I didn't feel like it was like, you know what I mean? But I think it was in the fact that she had to go through that evolution and make that statement and go through that process for herself. So like I didn't like the
Mm-hmm.
like it was catchy, but it just annoyed me after a while. So yeah, I understand her journey, and but I'm happy that she's like matured and has gone back to like making music for her and not making music for anybody else really, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
And
sure.
the maturity in her stuff, yeah, I definitely like both albums. I really really like because now she's doing she's doing that storytelling again. Like there's a purpose and an intent in her song, and you kind of have to listen to it and uncover it. There's depth there, and like what she's done with like whoever's done any of like her the actual music, like the instrumentation. Like I appreciate that a lot too.
I will say, so I did watch the documentary when she was doing Reputation and Lover or whatever. I feel like it was still her after watching the like that doc or whatever, but she was like tied to her label. I think that's what
Mm.
happens usually in the music industry, probably. Um, and she has been in that sticky situation with Scooter Braun, who used to be her manager or whatever, and like that crazy contract where this is why. Do you know about this in
I
any
know nothing.
capacity?
I literally know nothing. I don't follow pop
So
culture.
basically, Scooter, that's fine. Scooter owns the rights to her old songs. I don't know if that includes Reputation and Lover. Probably not, honestly. I don't know, but I feel like this is why she's re-recording her old songs. If you
Mm.
know anything about this, but she's re-releasing her old stuff, um, so that she can. Because I don't think she makes money off of her old stuff now, because the whole contract situation when she signed it when she was young.
Right.
Which also that sucks. Like she was like what 16 making music and she signed this really good
Like
contract at the time, but like probably, didn't know
this
the
is the
implications
issue
of
with
the
the music
nuances.
industry.
Yeah. I also was on TikTok probably and you know how people like, oh, so and so signed like a $10 million contract with Sony, like, like and all that stuff. Like when people sign label deals, like the $10 million, they like owe the label back that $10 million. It's like a loan. I don't know if that's like well known.
Yeah, they're making an investment in them, and they expect to
Right,
get that money back plus.
right. So I don't know if that's also a thing that isn't common knowledge, but I mean it's great for the artist because then that's like their startup is that 10 million or however $1 million. But that's such a stressor, especially if like you're like T Swift and you're like 16 and you sign like that major label contract and you owe now a major label millions of dollars. So that's probably why she cranked out music that way, like when she was super young, because she was just like
Yeah.
art, like album after album, and now it's like very rare because now she's taking care of like her artistry now, because now she's on like under another label and is like doing shit that she wants to do. But also, I feel like that's also with any other artist. I feel like they slow down once they pay back their label and like finally have some reprieve
Yeah, and
to
that's
like do
like
shit.
why a lot of them end up, not doing more after that. You literally get like wrung out like a towel
Yeah,
of
yeah,
all of your creation. Like that's something that it talked a lot about in the arts, right? Is like, and that's something like I even will warn people too, right? Like when you go after your passion, it's different to do it because you love it and then do it as a job.
correct. Yeah,
Like doing it as a job means that all of those stressors of doing an actual job become part of it.
right.
And it literally when you work within the arts or you work whatever your passion is, it can deplete you and exhaust you of like feeling passionate about it. So I get why a lot of like artists, like you'll see them and like then you're like, oh, whatever happened to them? It's like they didn't want to do it anymore. Like they literally got the passion beat out of them,
Mhm, mhm.
which is sad that we just kind of chew them up and spit them out. Like that's what the music industry does. And these like record labels are like banks for musicians. That's what they are. It's
Yeah, no,
like
for
you
sure.
said, like getting a loan. It's like it's not they are the gatekeepers. They hold the key to giving you the money to do what you need to do. Like, have you seen the commercials for like this true story behind like hip hop? Have you seen any of those
Mm.
commercials, like documentaries coming out?
No.
I honestly am not a person who knows anything about this, but it's relating to what we're talking about right now. There's documentaries coming out about like the truth behind like the major initial hip hop artists and how,
Okay.
they couldn't go to record labels, they couldn't go to banks to get loans, so they got funded by like the drug lords, like the people who
Mm.
had money. So
Interesting.
like the commercial talks about, I don't honestly, it's something, it's the history of hip hop, I think, is the name of the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really looking forward to watching it because I don't know anything about that. But like they one of the people that speaks in the documentary in the commercial says how like we didn't have access to banks, so like the only way that you could make it is if like you got backed by like these people who had money and they were all in the drug game.
I wonder, because I'm thinking of, because I used to be an avid hip hop R&B listener, as I probably mentioned before. There's a label called Murder Inc. I wonder if they were backed by like the underground.
Who knows?
I'm just I'm just wondering because
I
now
mean,
that's
their
very
name doesn't.
interesting. I mean, the name
Yeah.
and the but also it could just be there, whatever. But
Yeah. It's
now I'm
like the
very
whole
interested.
the the behind the scenes of what makes the music industry. The music industry is really not pretty.
Yeah, agreed.
Like
I,
it's all based on like greed, like capitalism, like everything else is.
yeah,
Um, but
for sure.
it's not like a thing that, again, it's one of those things where we misjudge what it means. We glorify what it means to make it or to be a certain thing, and that's why like artists like Britney Spears is one of the biggest ones. Like that's why artists like Britney Spears, Justin Bieber, even Lindsay Lohan, she was like a relatively slightly different, like
Mm-hmm.
Demi Lovato, like they
Yeah,
all
yeah,
start out young and they get literally taken advantage of by all of these bigger, all of this whole area of the
yeah,
industry, and then they grow
yeah.
up with like, a lot of traumatic stuff that happens to them, and then no one gives a shit about them, which sucks.
Well, have you heard about the Free Britney documentary? I don't even know if that's what it's officially called. That just came out.
I've heard a little bit about it. Like I said, I'm not the greatest. I don't really follow all of this. I know it's a thing, and I feel bad, but like I don't
Mm-hmm.
really follow a lot of these things.
That's fine. I mean, because now, like, I feel like when Britney had her breakdown in early 2000s, whenever she shaved her head, right?
Hmm.
That's when this all started.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember this whole thing of like the trauma with like her husband and like having to have her kids and having her kids young, and then like her
and
issues
like
with her mom and.
like her dad. So she's under a conservatorship. I think that's what it's called, where her dad is like basically controlling her money in her daily life. Did you know about this?
I knew her parents were. I wasn't sure. I didn't realize it was
Yeah,
her dad.
it's specifically her dad.
Hmm.
And so he holds everything and she like wants out. She's been wanting out for like the longest time because apparently a conservatorship is really for people that are literally like cannot function.
Hmm.
And like his argument is that because of her breakdown, she's still like not mentally stable, but also that doesn't, I think from what this documentary is stating is like, all right, she can be mentally unstable, but a lot of a lot of people are mentally unstable and don't have this conservatorship. Like
Right.
so they're trying to out her father as being like this is for money basically because he controls
Hmm.
her work life too. Like here's a contract, like we signed it, like go work in Las Vegas, like type of thing. Like like
It's deplorable.
which is so horrible because like that just takes away like her life basically and like
Right. He's enslaved her. That's what he's
yeah,
done.
unfortunately that's like his own daughter. Like that's so gross. Like that's obscene. But to your point, they all started out young, like T Swift,
Yeah.
Britney Spears, like Christina Aguilera, like everyone
It's not an
in
easy
sync,
like
like
you're right,
all
like
of them.
where are they now?
Yeah.
Like I said, like Joey Fatone is like doing all that stuff with the Impractical Jokers because he's friends with Q. But if you don't know who the Impractical Jokers are, guys, you should definitely go check them out. But yeah, I think that, and then it's kind of like this thing where we like once all of this happens, we're like, well, whatever. They're like famous and they're rich and like they don't have worries. It's like they're sacrificing their mental health for like you chose this. Look at like
Yeah.
you have everything. You can have everything you want in the world, but like it's like the same. It's one of the. It's the equivalent of the statement of like what you have to sacrifice for money, and like we make it seem like, oh well, that was your choice. Like you don't have to deal with financial issues, but like now you have to deal with all of this. Like you made it's like the the paying the devil situation.
Yeah, basically. I mean, the record label.
Yeah. So it's like I know it's like, and I get it. Like the people aren't gonna have pity on you
Mm-hmm.
for that, because
Yeah, for
at
sure.
that point, it's like if you really do have something wrong with you mentally, like you have all the money in the world to go get support. But
Mm.
then it's the reality of like then people are just getting exploited for their money, and they're probably not necessarily getting the help that they need. Like all of those amazing, beautiful Malibu rehab centers, it's like, well, are they actually getting the care they need, or are they just on a really nice vacation?
Yeah, and
And
like
then that
I
becomes a
wouldn't know
bigger
the
issue
answer to
too.
that. Yeah,
And I
we
don't
don't know
either,
that. I
right?
was like,
Like
we don't know the answer to
then
that.
it's
Like, they could
again,
be.
the answer to that again is probably capitalism. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I don't know, but in essence, going back to Taylor Swift.
circling back. But coming back to her, she's trying to make her way out of it. She's seen it. She's
Yeah,
trying to make her way out
she
of it.
seems much happier. She's re-recording her old songs now with like her own, modern spin to it because now she's older and sings in a different tone. But when when Folklore came out though, I was not a fan. I think I said this before. I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
what this is. It was also, when did she release this? Like in the summer or something.
Mhm.
Um and like it just seems like not a summer vibe type of album. It's more like a fall winter. And so is Evermore. So
Yeah.
once fall or winter hit, I was like, oh wait, no wait. This album is really good. Like
Yeah.
the critique for this album and both albums I think are that they sound the same. Like each song
Yeah.
sounds the
They are
same.
similar. Yeah.
But you cannot tell me that all these songs sound the same. Like there's no way that they actually sound the same. Like if you look at like, I don't even know, like Mirror Ball compared to like, I don't even, Gold Rush or something, like these songs do not
Yeah.
sound the same. I think it's
No,
just
they
like
don't.
the vibe of it is overall similar and
Yeah.
she is telling a story,
Yeah. And I
which is
won't say
why
she
they
doesn't.
sound the same, but
She
they're not the
doesn't
same.
play up a lot of. She's not a singer who like. She's not. She doesn't sing like Mariah Carey, right? Like
No,
as a like a. Like she doesn't.
she
She
doesn't
doesn't
belt.
pitch a
It's not
lot,
like,
right? She doesn't belt a ton. Like she's very like she sings within the plate. Like and every once in a while she'll hit like different notes, but she doesn't. She's very calm in the way that she sings.
her
Like
register is the same, like every song.
yeah, so like it does make this consistency, but it's not. What's different is all of the melodies and everything that's happening in the background
It's the
behind
music.
her.
It's the music production. It's so
Right.
brilliant.
And that's
And
what's enjoyable about it.
yeah, and her producer is Jack Antonoff, who produces. He was in the band Fun.
Mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm.
he's also he has his own band called The Bleachers, I think, but he also produces for Lord. Um,
Mm,
so it's very. I really like his production. He's one of the best producers I think that's around right now for like indie pop music. So the fact that he's a producer on this, I knew was gonna be really fucking good. And then also she had, I think on Folklore, the band The National,
mm-hmm.
very indie rock band, indie folk. He one of their leads, I can't remember. He also produced this album, which is why it's so indie, which is why this sounds
Mm.
very indie
Yeah,
because they're
and that's
both
what I
very
like about
indie.
it.
Yeah. And I like this sound. I mean, you know me, I grew up listening to this in high school. So it's like this is right up my alley. And anyone
Yeah,
else that like listens to indie pop, indie rock or whatever. Um, but I think it's really the production. And like
yeah,
people that listen to music just for, I mean, I listen to entertainment purposes, but for the people that listen to music, like radio music, I think they're there for the commercial aspect of it and
yeah.
not all the
It's
time. I'm just saying
the
like,
thoughtlessness.
yeah, it's just like something in the white noise background of your mind, but I listen
Right.
to it as like the whole experience of like the whole song and everything behind it. So that's why I'm like, this does not, every song does not sound the same. That's
No,
my whole
and
argument
yeah,
with like any artist's album. Unless I can justify that it sounds the same, then yeah, you know. Um,
yeah,
so that's why I was raving about both these albums because they're so good, just production wise, so good. One of her
Yeah,
best, honestly.
I really, really, I like the way she. I don't know. I think there's so many things to talk about, but I've always really liked her as a lyricist. I like the
Hmm.
names of her song. Like Gold Rush is a perfect example, right?
Gold Rush is
She
such a
takes
good song.
she takes something that's not relevant to the song. Like the title is not like if you listen to that and you think about what a gold rush is, and then she
Hmm.
brings it relevant to the song, like it's really brilliant. Like the same
Hmm.
thing, she does the same thing with invisible split string. She does the same thing with
Mirror Ball is brilliant.
Mirrorball. Yeah, I hated Mirrorball. If I told you that, but I do like the
I
lyrics
know.
of it. Like she does it like all of the songs. Like even with Cardigan's a really well known song, and that kind of has levels to it too if you really listen to it.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think I really do. I think that Folklore is my favorite. Like I like
Folklore's
Folklore a
your
little
favorite.
bit more. Like all from like This Is Me Trying, Illicit Affairs, Invisible String, Mad
It's
Woman,
so good. I mean, like,
those are so good. Like those are all like those are some of my and like the last Green American Dynasty, the story she tells of that and like the big
so
push
good.
at the end, like so right, like I love that. Like I love that there's something to listen to and there's depth to it. It's not
You
that
know,
I
yeah.
don't like Willow. It's just I feel like Willow has a little more of the poppiness to it.
I mean, that one was a single. Yeah, I can see that, along with Cardigan. But
I'm sorry. I mean that whole album, Evermore. It definitely
oh,
has like a little more poppiness to it. I think like honestly, I think Ivory might be like the only song that I really really
I
like to
yeah,
it. No
it
Body, No Crime reminds me of the music. Like I think I like them for the same reasons, but like one of the reasons why I like I can't think of the name of the band right now, but there's a band that I like who tells a lot of stories in like their music, and No Body, No Crime reminds me of their music a little bit,
hmm,
like in doing that.
gotcha. I will say Evermore is poppy, like more poppy than Folklore. Um, they're equally as good in my eyes, but there are some really good gems in Evermore that some like I think they stick out more than Folklore now, just because I listen to Folklore more longer than
Yeah.
Evermore. So I feel like I'm in that like
That's what I noticed too, right? And it wasn't like I didn't immediately realize that I liked one more. I would choose to listen to Folklore more. That's how I knew that I liked that
so,
one better.
so I listen to there's a playlist on Spotify that someone made where they combine both Folklore and Evermore together. They it's like the first song is Folklore and then it goes to Evermore and then they just
Mm,
switch. So that's how I've been listening to these albums. So I can't really distinguish.
it's hard to know the difference.
It's hard to know the difference because not because they sound the same, but because like I don't know which album I'm listening to
Yeah.
because it all tells I feel like a whole story at like both albums together tell a whole story. So it doesn't really
Oh,
matter
that's cool.
what track listing I'm listening to, whatever. But
Yeah.
um Evermore though, like long story short, is such a good song, and so is Gold Rush.
Yeah.
I feel like Gold Rush, Tis the Damn Season,
Mm,
Tolerated, and Long Story Short are
yeah.
very, very
I
good in my eyes.
so many of these songs when she actually gets to the point, like when she gets to where she actually like either like uses the title of the song or like gets to the point of the song, you're literally like there are songs that I listen to and I'm like, oh my god, like ouch, like you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah, they hurt.
in the feeling that it evokes, yeah, it's like oh fuck, like Tolerated, like one of those
Oh, it's
for
so good.
sure. Like you listen to it and you're like, oh, that effing
Yeah.
sucks. Like that's not a good feeling. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but she does it in such a good way. Like it's not like overly emotional and outright. And like you see, Gold Rush is the same way. Like
Oh,
not
Gold
good
Rush
feelings.
hurts.
But then
I
she
don't know
gets
if people like it sounds very poppy, Gold Rush, and so does Long Story Short, but they hurt. Like
and
those
'tis the damn
lyrics
season too,
hurt.
right? Like
And 'Tis the Damn Season. Oh my god.
they're not like they're not about good things. Like they're
No.
painful things that she's talking about. But she like and then when she gets to like I said, she builds it up and then she gets to the point in the chorus and you're like, ooh,
Yeah, it hurts.
ouch.
And like that's what I love about just any artist that does that. It's funny when it sounds very good, like poppy or like upbeat, but then when you look at the whole
Yeah,
music
there's
production,
depth.
it's just like nope.
There's depth to it. That's I think I'm at the point where um I'm just over superficial in your face in like emotional things. Like I
Hmm.
like I like the depth. I like that there's like it's like a vulnerable relationship that the artist has to build with you
Yeah, for
to
sure.
be able
Because
to do
like,
that.
yeah, I mean, the lyrics have to come from somewhere. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's like fiction or nonfiction, but it has to come from some past
Yeah.
experience. Like it doesn't have to
Yeah, to
like
be able to
this.
relate to the emotion.
Right, because like again, I did watch another so there's a folklore documentary on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it.
And then she explains her whole thought process basically of folklore because Evermore didn't come out yet, or maybe it did, but whatever. Um, and it's not. She wanted to write stuff, or she found out throughout the years that she doesn't have to write stuff that has to directly relate to her life. This is why she sounds very mature now, because now she's pulling things outside of her life to like write about. So now she has more depth and more things to write about, which is why now her music is just so there's so much depth into it.
Yeah.
Because like when you're younger, and like I tried to write shit, we both did actually when we were younger. It's all about you, like, and like that's her. That
Oh yeah.
obviously when she's 16 or whatever, however old she was when
That's
she was
where
young, like
your like
that's her.
emotional
Right. So
like emotional development is. Everything's about you.
yeah, and like duh, fine. Um, but like as she's grown, obviously she's like, oh, I don't have to write about myself anymore. Like the fans will listen if I write great songs. It doesn't have to be about
Mm-hmm.
me. And I think that she with like folklore, I think she figured that shit out. So that's why I enjoy these.
She speaks just more broadly, but she speaks broadly about. She still talks a lot about relationships,
Yes,
right?
yes.
She just
What
speaks very
she
broadly about
always
them.
got slack about, which I think is dumb. Like
Your
relationships,
whole
like
life
just
is about relationships.
yeah, yeah. But
Like your
also like
entire
we did,
existence here is about relationships, and
yeah,
she talks about relationships with everybody, right? She talks about like these two albums, like she talks about relationships with lovers, she talks about relationships with places, she talks about
yeah,
relationships with people, like good and bad. Like she talks
yeah,
about all kinds of relationships.
yeah, yeah. But she always got some slack because she like dated so many guys, quote unquote, so many.
Whatever.
Who
I can't
cares?
imagine like
The older,
it's the whole Meghan Markle situation too. Like, how do you have a
mm,
relationship when the whole world is up your butt constantly? Like how? Like
yeah, that
what?
poor thing.
Like
No,
who? Like leave her the freaking alone.
leave
Leave her
these
alone.
leave these women alone.
Really
Because
though,
like it's really
leave women
sexist.
alone. Period.
Period.
Leave women alone. Just leave women alone. Just leave us alone.
um, no, but it's so sexist, honestly. And like
No,
I
yeah,
think even when her whole, because I mean she got slack from men, women, all types of
yeah.
genders for dating a lot of people, but also like what does it matter? Guys don't get the same
No, we
critique.
know this.
We
We
know
know
this,
this.
but also I feel like I played into that anyway because the media played into that, and I was like, yeah,
Oh
Taylor
yeah.
Swift is so bad, which is when like probably when like Reputation came out and Lover came out, I was like, ugh, Taylor Swift, like like even though I did
Honestly, I
like
think
her
that was the
earlier
only
stuff,
thing that I respected her for.
really,
The only thing that I
I
liked
just
her for.
didn't
Like,
like
yeah, you hate everybody. Go for it.
I just didn't like Reputation
I know. I
or
really didn't
Lover.
either.
Not that I actually listened to them like a lot, like compared to her. Like I love like Red in 1989
Yeah, those
and
are good.
very good albums. Um,
Those are
but
better. But
yeah, yeah. But and then she came back with Folklore, and I was like, oh, maybe my
yeah,
hatred was unjustified and was just based on media, which sucks. But also is like that's life sometimes.
and it's something definitely a thing that like you have to move past to. Like I'm happy that that wasn't her last album that she kept going because if she would have kept it there, then I would have been like, oh, well, you just sold out and cool. But like she
Hmm.
kept moving forward and we got forward in time and you can start to understand the situation that she was in at that point and like why she made her decisions and it's like okay well
Fearless loves. Oh, okay. So the Taylor release. God, me editing this is gonna be a mess.
I'm so sorry for you.
No, it's okay. I don't even know. Did we even tell people why editing this is gonna be a mess? Or there's gonna be a bunch of cuts if you haven't probably already
So
noticed.
guys
There are technical difficulties in the beginning where
my computer is working like my brain is today so Maria's gonna have to do
right, right.
some stuff
Do
to
some
edit.
magic later. Um oh okay. So Taylor Swift re-releasing Fearless. She just released Love Story. Oh yes, I was talking to people. I was like Taylor Swift re-released Love Story. Like, it sounds so good, and people are like, it sounds the same. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh, I have to listen to it. I haven't
You've
listened
got to
to
be
it.
kidding me. Like, number one, Love Story had a male vocal background singer. There are no male vocals in this. It's just Taylor.
Hmm.
Number one. Number two, it sounds much cleaner. Like, her vocals sound much cleaner, and like the way that she enunciates her words in some aspects, in some, like, in some words or in some lyrics, is very is better than when she recorded this when she was
Well,
younger. I don't
that's
know
the
how
first thing I'm
old
gonna
she
do
was.
when we're done. Is I'm gonna listen to it. I'm excited.
But it is very nuanced if you don't listen to music in that way. That's the thing
Well,
again,
if you
right?
don't pay
Like,
attention to that stuff, it won't sound any different to you,
right,
right?
like it just sounds like Taylor just re-recording
And
whatever.
I think that's, I think, and it's not to say like you're doing it wrong if you don't listen to music like that. Like we
Yes,
have
can I just
different
say
things.
PSA? Like, I'm not gatekeeping how you listen to
Right,
music.
right, right.
I'm just saying that it doesn't sound the
Yeah.
same.
For some people, right? For some people, we do that with other things, right? Do you ever notice like, um, here's like a perfect example of this, right? And mom, I love you. So my mother is somebody who, when she like watches shows, like she watches shows the way I listen to music.
Hmm.
So, and I know this because, I've been spending a lot of time with my mother and like observing her recently. And like, and I had her listen to Taylor Swift's music while we were in the car because I was trying to distract her. And like her response, the way that she takes on music, because music's not like as much of a thing for her as it is for me.
Yeah.
So when she listens to Taylor Swift music, she's not like we were listening to something that's like real. One of her songs that like gets into stuff, and she was like, "Oh, this is pretty," and I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "All right, so let's just listen to it." And then at the end of it, she was like, "Oh, I like the music of it," and I was like, "Okay,"
Okay.
right. So I was like, "That's fine." Like, but she doesn't listen to music for that reason. She doesn't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like she
Yeah.
likes music because like one of her favorite bands is like the Beach Boys,
Yeah. Very good.
right?
Very good
They're
music.
right, really good music, but like she listens to it because it's like very like fun and pop. Like she likes music like
Yeah.
that. Like that's what she likes
Yeah.
music for because
Yeah.
that's what it is for her. But like
Right.
when it comes to TV shows, like I'm not a person like it takes a lot. Like having to get emotionally invested in This Is Us made me very unhappy. Like I am now and I'm fine with it, but like I don't like to get emotionally invested in TV shows. I like to like watch a TV show because like it's entertaining or it's funny or like I like to
Yeah.
like pretend I know what's gonna happen in the plot and like do all of that. I don't like to
Yeah.
become like
There's no emotional depth when
right.
you're
I don't
watching
like
a
to
show.
I don't like to do work when I'm watching TV. But like my
Yeah. Yeah.
mother likes that about her TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
consume basically we consume media differently.
Right. So,
Yeah.
and if
Which
you
is fine.
don't, if you listen to music and that's why, you get to make your preferences. You get to pick your preferences
Yeah.
on
What
what you
genre you
like.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when what you
Yeah.
want to listen to, and it can be related to your mood. But that's for people who are like Maria and I. Like we
Hmm.
listen to it with those things in mind. We listen for the depth of it. And I don't know about you, but like perfect example, right? I was so used to listening to Taylor's like original stuff that had all that depth to it. And then there was that period of time when Shake It Off was on the radio like every 2 hours.
Yeah. And you're like, I'm over it. I can't do it.
I
Yeah,
would
it's
get
overplayed.
so angry. I can feel like the little fire bubble building in my like chest
I
right now.
still don't really listen to Shake It Off.
I would get
Like,
so angry
yeah,
because
I don't blame you.
like if you're not it like agitates you to listen to music like that, and that's why I had to like I really have to like I don't listen to music on the radio as much anymore
I don't
because
either.
I
It's
can't
overplayed.
handle just listening to whatever comes on. Like I literally
Yeah.
when I shuffle through, thank God I have the buttons on my steering wheel. I sit there and for like honestly a solid 20 seconds I just keep shuffling through hoping that something's going to change until I finally am like nope, we got to connect to something because I can't do this. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that. And then but when it comes to TV, like I can watch whatever's on and not care,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No,
But I
it's
can't do
really
that with
just
music.
yeah, it's really
So
just
it depends.
whatever, yeah, whatever media we consume and how we
Yeah.
consume it.
And
But
the thing that
also,
I think go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The thing that I think is respectable about if you look at her whole career is
Hmm.
that at the point she's at now, for whatever reason she's done it and for all this crap she's gotten, Taylor Swift is now an artist who's versatile, who whatever your preference is for listening to music,
Hmm.
you can go through her stuff and find something that works for you.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
and I
mean,
think that
sans
to
like
have a
sans like
consistent career to be
sans like EDM or like hip hop and R&B. She's got like
right,
the
like
pop
she
aspect
is a
down.
very versatile. Right. Right, that's true. But like in terms of like mood and like what you're listening to music for, like
Mhm.
she covers a lot of that now. So
Mhm.
I think that's something to be, and I think you know who else does that? Mayday Parade does that, and that's why we love them. I think they do a lot of that too. Like there's a music for any mood, right? And I was kind of mad when they got kind
Yeah.
of poppy, but now like it's great because like when I feel like I just want to go for it, I go for it. And Paramore does that too. Paramore's
Paramore is
entire, like if you look at
an
their discology, like they use a different genre, right? Like all of these guys are different genres, but like
yeah, all
they
these
tap
are
into
different.
different moods.
Yeah, agreed completely. Paramore is such a great example though, because like they started out truly
We talked
punk.
about them so
I
much
won't
in
even
the
say
last couple of
pop
years.
punk.
Haley Williams, come on our podcast. We talk about mental
Oh my
health, and
god,
she's
I
the one
would
who's recently come out
cry.
open about struggling about it. I would cry too. We would both lose our minds.
Yes.
Um,
I mean,
I
her.
haven't
Have you
even
listened
got
to
that
her solo
story.
stuff?
No, I have
Have you
not.
listened to her solo stuff that she released within the last couple of years?
No,
Very,
I haven't.
very different from Paramore. Obviously, she's like, this is the Paramore, this is me. Duh, duh. Number one,
Right.
obviously. Number two, it's very dark and very heavy.
Ooh,
Her first album, I really didn't like. Honestly, it was just too much something for me. I just couldn't pinpoint something what
I'll have
was
to listen to them.
not like off for me. But then her most recent one that she just released, very good. Um,
Mm.
the instrumentals in it are so good. Like the I'm so nerdy. The chord progressions and everything are just very. The production is very good. But then again, I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not gatekeeping keeping people from whenever I'm like, this is very good, and people are like, I don't understand. I'm like, oh, but like, it's just me geeking out. I'm not telling you to listen to this in a different
Maria's
ear.
a
I'm just
music
geeking out.
nerd.
Like I don't. Like I don't care if you don't like it. I'm just telling you why I
And
like
like
it.
it's good too, cause like when you give your perspective, right? If people don't listen normally, I'm one of those weird people. Like you listen to chord progressions. I'm the weird person who listens to beats and rhythms, cause like drums are my thing. So like it's interesting for like if we were
And
to
like the
talk
beat
about a
drops
song,
too. Oh, it's so good.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the it's interesting to start to listen to it with a new perspective. But if like that's too much brain power for you and you don't want that new perspective, that's cool. But like Maria has, she just we're just sharing our POVs on stuff.
Right.
And there's a lot to look at
Also,
in music. Oh my gosh, you're gonna
yeah,
love
and
when we talk to
also
Andy because Andy's gonna have so much to say about all of this.
I will say, just tying this back to Taylor Swift's like folklore album, August, that song. Is it August? Yeah.
Yep.
The last bit of it, like I think it's like past the bridge into the last chorus, that beat drop that happens. I'm like, oh, like it's
Can I
such
play it?
music. Like it's such a gem. I don't, yeah, sure. We might get copyrighted, so I'm going to cut this.
Really? We will. You can just put it when you put it on YouTube. You can just put like. Let me state right now. This is Taylor Swift. We don't own the rights to this music. Hold on. See if I can get it to work.
Also, I do love Bon Iver. I do love Bon Iver a lot, but
See,
I just don't like the
I
songs
don't
that he's
understand.
featured
I don't
on
either.
all
I
these
agree.
albums.
And
I love
I don't
him.
I don't think I'd say that I don't like the song. I think that his voice and her voice I just don't
Very
like together.
just take them apart. Just take
Yeah.
them apart.
I just don't like them together.
Same thing with the song with her and the National. Take them
Mm.
apart. I like them separate. Like I don't. But then she featured on Hyams, one of Hyams' songs recently. They remixed Gasoline. Oh my god. I love
Mm.
Hyam, and then they
Let's
added
play some
Taylor
of
Swift to Gasoline, and I just died internally. Just as an aside. Yeah, August, like towards the end of it. Yeah.
it. Oh, I know what you're talking about. The
You know what
transition at
I'm
the end.
talking about? It's such a good beat drop.
It's this part.
It's like there.
This
Oh
part.
my god. Kills me every time. For anyone that's
Like
like
that's
watching
and that's
me
such a good
live react to this right now is
that's
probably like
such a
this
good
fucking
that's
dork.
such a good example of all the stuff we talked about today, right? Like the depth of the music, you can hear all of like the instruments playing in the background. She actually hits her range in the end of that. Like
She
she
hits,
doesn't do that a
yeah.
lot.
Oh my god,
Like
it's
there's a
so
that is
good.
honestly that's probably one of my that's my like sit in the
It's
car
such a
just like
good,
I'm at a
yeah.
stoplight and I can just like get into it because it has like it's got so much to it. I really that's
It
probably one of my top songs too.
it's the
Like
same.
my top like it's a very
It's a feel good song.
hopeful song. It's a hopeful
Yeah,
song, yeah,
yeah.
which is why
And
I
like
like
that
it so
beat
much.
drop, that the like second of no
Yeah.
music in that is so perfect
Yeah.
because it makes you pause too as a person, as a being. You're
Yeah.
like, "Oh." And then she goes right back into it. It just so it there's so much depth within, cuz like music isn't just sound, it's also the pauses that you make within.
A pause makes sometimes even more of a statement than like actual lyrics do or actual sound does. Um and it's fun
Mhm.
that I think it's fun to be able to play with that in but again, she's at a point where she can do that. That was a big thing for me.
Mhm.
I learned that from the view of yoga, right? That
At
like
the pause.
that how like important pauses are. Did you know that your breath actually has three points?
No.
Technically four, right? Like we inhale and we exhale,
Yeah. What's the
but in
third?
between they don't go right. It doesn't go right from your inhale to your exhale, right? Because so much has to
Is there
change
a
in your systems.
is
There's
there
a
a
pause.
pause?
So
That
you
makes sense.
inhale, you pause, you exhale, you pause. Even if it happens
Mhm.
for just a second, like it's literally like a little thing goes boop, boop, like in your body for you to do the
Mhm.
opposite, right? Because your like muscle dynamics have to change. But like
Yeah.
your breath actually has three parts. And
It's
that's how I
interesting.
started to like notice pausing. And then like
It
it's cool that you just brought it up in the music.
oh, it's funny because I learned that in college. I took a music, I don't remember what class it was, but the professor was like, the vent was going like in the classroom, and she was like, "Is this music? Like the vent that's going?" It was just a consistent sound, and someone said yes, but I was like, "No, that's not music," and I couldn't pinpoint why. And she's like, "No, that's not music. There's no pauses in it. It's just a sound." And I was like, "Oh shit."
And like
I
that's
was
the
like,
difference between like white noise, right?
right, like, and some people use music as white noise, which again, I that's fine because
I could not do that.
I use podcasts as white noise when I'm
Mm.
working. I'm just blasting like whatever podcast I'm listening to as white
Which for
noise.
The
I'm not paying
Office.
attention. It's just like it's it's just it's just like whatever, like to keep me focused. But if I want to like listen to music and like new music, I have to like not I don't have to be not like I could be on my phone or like going through and playing video games or whatever. But like I need to like listen to it. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
different depths again of how we intake media. That's how I also intake like movies. Like I have to be in it if I really want to like watch a movie. If I'm distracted in any way, I'm not gonna understand the
Yeah,
movie
you're
and
gonna
like
stop
not
paying
like
attention.
yeah. But no, I just thought that that was brilliant when my professor was like, "No, that's not music. There's no pauses in it." I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit."
that's super cool. Because I mean, like even if
Yeah.
you think about it, when you count through like beats and you count through rhythms, like the argument stands, right? You have if you okay, so let's just talk like one, two, three, four. Like when you're talking about your beats in your song, right? Like the argument would stand like, oh, there's no pause there, but like there has to be a pause in the point where you're going one, two. Like there's a moment in between, right? Like there's
Mm.
a otherwise
Mm-hmm,
it would just
mm-hmm.
be one and it would be one note the whole time. Like what you're saying with like the
Yeah.
white noise situation. So that's fun. Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have so much fun. Well, I think we're gonna have one other guest that comes on next
Mm-hmm.
month who's gonna be music related, but we're gonna get to talk to people this month who have made music like a really big part of their lives
Mm-hmm.
in different ways and have studied it a lot and use it in different modalities for the work that they do. And I think it's going to be really cool. Maria and I are going to nerd out real hard. So if you're a music person or
I just
uh,
nerded out about a Taylor Swift
I
song.
know.
Like,
If you are somebody who can see music in this way, or you're just kind of stoked to get a new perspective on music and maybe kind of find a new way to listen to it for yourself, this next month is going to be super full of it.
mm-hmm.
Also, we would love, love, love to. I think one of our like our group chats that's coming up is going to be about like concert experiences.
I believe so.
So if you're somebody who listens to this podcast and you're a music nerd or you're not and you just enjoy if you enjoyed frequenting concerts back in the day. We would love to hear like a story that you have. So even if you don't want to come on to the podcast, if you have a story that you love about going to concerts or the reasons why you love to go to concerts and you'd like it to be shared on the podcast, Maria and I can definitely take time and like share your
Carve out
stuff
some
and
time.
share
Yeah.
your stories.
Mhm.
Um, so reach out to us, send us an email, be more, what is it? Be more podcasting at gmail.com. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yes.
Cool.
Correct.
Or send us a DM at Be More Podcast on Instagram. Is it the Be
Mhm.
More Podcast? I don't know anything about our social media apparently.
Be more underscore podcast.
I literally am the one who made it and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, Brittany's the
Um,
one that's actually using this.
guys. So yeah, talk to us, tell us your story. Literally send us an audio message. Don't care. And we can share it on here, or you can come onto our group chat because we're definitely gonna have that one coming up. And we're excited to talk music with you guys even more on future episodes.
Mhm. What she said.
Cool. All right. Are we wrapping this thing up?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, side note from everything, go get some sunshine.
Yeah.
Go
True.
take some time to take care of yourself. And I'm saying this to all of you as much as I need to say this to myself right now too. And we will talk to you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.